Hey guys, I'm Milk. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel.
What's up?
Trying to grab my tarot cards.
You're going.
Okay. I got the sage spray at this metaphysical shop that I like. If you live in Las Vegas or Henderson in Nevada and you go to the Crystal Emporium, it's a really cool place. I highly recommend it. I go probably every Monday, so maybe you'll see me there. This deck is, you know, they say like different decks have like different attitudes or energies, and I think that the deck that I usually use for these videos is very like fun and loud, and this one's very like get your shit together. This one's less playful. This one's more serious in my opinion. So these readings might be more ruthless than the other ones, and I feel like the other ones are pretty oh, she flew. Okay, so I just finished shuffling and look at this crystal. It's really pretty. It's amethyst. It's supposed to help with like love and other things. For air signs, I have Queen of Swords reversed, which means you're going through a very weird headspace right now. It's almost like you're mourning or you're grieving of something. I think maybe you really liked a person, or maybe you really wanted something to work out in a specific way and it just didn't end up happening that way. And I think right now you're really just receding into yourself. I think you're also kind of trying to go back to the drawing board. You're trying to pick yourself back up, and this is very unlike you because air signs are, you know, Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini. You guys are very bubbly. You guys are very good at not letting things affect you, and this is something that like just really got the better of you. This is something that, in spite of all your efforts to protect yourself or avoid the situation, it got you. And justice is also here. It's popping up and it's telling you that things are going to get better, but you need to be objective right now. You need to think outside of this situation or outside of yourself and think about how these circumstances are benefiting you. Are the things that you're mourning actually things that you should be mourning? Is this a loss or is this a lesson? Like, this is kind of what you're being called to do. Now, with 7 of Cups and 3 of Wands also coming into play, they're really pretty, see? You have a lot of options and you have a lot of opportunity. Your hard work is being noticed, whether this is like with family or with friends or with, I'm assuming mostly careers and school and things like that. And I think that this is definitely something that's good for you. I think this is like, it's like a positive thing. I think a lot of things are working out for you and you're getting a lot of like really positive opportunities, and how do I explain this? It's like everything is good around you, but internally you're not all there. You're not okay right now. And this is kind of a sucky situation because you're getting all these opportunities. Like maybe the person that you liked ended up not liking you back or something, and you're getting people like in your DMs and people that are interested in you, but you wanted that one person. And instead of like looking at all the other opportunities and like seeing that there are a lot of like blessings or rewards or opportunities out there for you to have, you're fixated on the ones that you've already lost. And this is really about changing your perspective and changing your headspace. But I think it's really important that you don't just like, how do I say this? It's important that you don't just go and pretend that everything's fine when it's not. It's important that you sit with those things that you're going through and that you use them in order to avoid this happening again. I think there's a lot of lessons. Like justice coming into play is telling me that maybe the scales weren't balanced. Maybe you didn't do everything that you thought you could do. Maybe you could have done things better. And I think this is kind of like a situation where you have to walk away and like take the L and just really figure out that like what you hoped you could have didn't happen, because maybe things weren't 100 on both sides. Maybe you weren't putting in your all, maybe they weren't putting in their all, but also there were some things on your end to blame. And I think especially with air signs, you guys don't want to deal with these things. You guys don't want to admit when you're wrong, because a lot of the times you don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable position to even have to admit that you're wrong. So I think like kind of coming to terms with that and realizing that like you were standing in the way of these opportunities instead of like blaming other people, or like I think like that was kind of the lesson. Like you have to identify why certain situations in your life are repetitive or routine, or like why something keeps happening, and maybe it's because of something that like you're blocking in a way. So I just feel like this is kind of a positive reading. Granted, I know I said a lot of morbid stuff because I feel like you're everything's going good for you. Like these are past situations that you've been holding on to. This could be something that happened a really long time ago. This doesn't have to be something that happened right now. You didn't just go through a breakup. Maybe you already went through a breakup, but instead of pushing forward and like seeing all these opportunities out there for you and all these things that you want for yourself, you're too busy caught up in like pretty much the past. You're caught up in the past. You're caught up in the nostalgia. Mercury retrograde has got you right now, and you're too fixated on these weird things that happened years ago instead of the future. And I think it's really important that you work through those things and let go of those things, because essentially you're holding yourself back right now. You're not being 100 this week. But again, there's a lot of really positive like opportunities work-wise and socially. So I think if you just keep putting your energy into those things to distract yourself maybe with like the stuff that you've been battling mentally, this could be a helpful distraction. This could bring a lot of productivity and good things. So just don't go into those dark headspaces and distract yourself with work or friends. And I think that things will be okay in the upcoming week. Hello, for Earth risings preferably, but Earth signs in general: Capricorn, Virgo, why was I gonna say Aquarius, Taurus. I have your reading for the upcoming week, and I'm sorry. So I have Threes of Crown reversed, I have Queen of Cups, I have Five of Swords, and I have the Hierophant. So let's break this down, shall we? So Threes of Crown is pretty much the main definition for this that I think of. No, it's not the only definition, but it's the one that I think of. So there's either someone meddling between you and one other person. There's maybe there's like a third person involved in a situation that's coming up this week. And it's like, this is a person that is either, I don't want to say ill-intended because it's so dramatic, but like they're snoopy, or they're stirring the pot, or they're in your man's DMs. Like they're in that vicinity. They're too close for comfort. And it's with maybe between you and like your family member and then a third family member, or maybe it's your boyfriend and his mom, or maybe it's your girlfriend and her ex. I mean, I don't know. It's retrograde season, okay? Like everything's crazy right now. But it shows you pushing through and being really compassionate and understanding. But Five of Swords also shows a lot of resurfacing issues and things that you might have buried in the past coming back up. I think this situation really triggers you to kind of go back to old habits or old mindsets or old worries. I think like there's old fears that are resurfacing based on these people or these circumstances. And there's the Hierophant. So there's a lesson to be learned in this dynamic. Being open to what they need to, I don't know, it's almost like they want to tell you something, or maybe there's a lesson to be learned. Maybe you're gonna find something out about some people this upcoming week, and I'm not trying to scare you. I mean, maybe this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but definitely sage and wear some black obsidian on you this week, because you need to protect your energy right now, and it seems like there are people around you that are really trying to interfere. That's kind of the vibe. People are trying to interfere, and I think it's really important that you establish boundaries, like clear boundaries and expectations with the people in your life, so that you don't feel blindsided or you don't feel betrayed. On the same note though, this could, with Three of Swords being involved, this could bring up some issues where you are projecting a past situation onto a current situation, and that's not always fair to everyone involved. And the Hierophant is again telling you that there's a learning lesson. There's a lesson to be learned this week. There's some truths that might be revealed this week. And this is kind of just emphasizing people. Like, this is going to involve two people, like a 3-person dynamic. There's huge emphasis on Three of Cups. So again though, like, I think Queen of Cups being here tells me that it's not as intense as it could be. The Hierophant's here, like, so this is a very like objective card. This is a very impartial card. So I just feel like this isn't something that's going to, I don't think like you're going to be cheated on. I don't think that's, I would hope not. But I mean, that's not me jumping the gun and saying like expect the worst, because again, like, that's probably not the case. But it feels like other people are trying to overstep and get involved in things that they don't need to be involved in, and I think it's important for you and the people that are involved to really understand where you're coming from. And I think it's important that you remain objective. It's important that you are patient with the situation and that you're caring, but that you also stand your ground. Like, there's a fine line between being cordial and respecting someone as well as being a doormat. So this is kind of a sticky situation this week for you. Again though, it doesn't seem as heavy as last week, so that's kind of a good thing, but this does seem like a dramatic week for you. Just my advice to you is be very clear and assertive with what you expect of people, and don't let anyone take advantage of your generosity. But also, don't project your past trauma into present situations where it's not fair to other people. Like, make sure that if you have, you know, feelings of anger or feelings of discontent or things, make sure that you're, I don't want to say you're valid, everyone's valid for feeling anything, but it's just make sure that you're not like accusing someone of something because of a past relationship or something. You know, make sure that you're not putting something on someone that isn't their fault or their blame to take. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, that is earth signs. Fire signs, wow. Okay, so fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and I would prefer you apply your risings. You can apply other placements. I would just prefer you apply your risings. But wow, you guys are acting foolish this week. So I have the Fool reversed, which means that right now your energy is just not 100 right now. Like, you're taking yourself really seriously, you're acting recklessly or impulsively, you're acting out. And Page of Cups is, there's some like deep-seated worry and fear that you're going through. It's almost like there are things popping up from your past. A lot of these readings, by the way, this week are talking about people drowning in nostalgia. This heavily could be related to Mercury retrograde, but it does seem like you're stuck in the past about something. Yeah, so with Page of Cups, it's like there's some anxieties that you're going through. There's some avoidance of something. It's almost like you're thinking of things that have really hurt you in the past that maybe you put off, but it's like eating away at you now. And this is probably why you're acting out and you're acting recklessly, because you're sitting with these feelings that maybe resurfaced from years ago, and you're like, I can't really bring it up now, I can't really talk about it. It just feels like, how do I say this? feels like you know you're being irrational about something, but you still feel consumed by the need to be irrational. And then you have Nine of Swords reversed. All these cards are reversed this week. So at Nine of Swords reversed, you're feeling really isolated. You're feeling really anxiety ridden, needing to let go of stuff and heal and move forward and really work through these things. I think that you've been holding on to a situation. I think you've been really stuck in your feelings. And I think you're thinking about things that took place like a really long time ago, or maybe just recently something ended. And instead of processing it healthfully, I think you're bringing up a lot of insecurities. Like you're not, like, fire energy is just very very loud and confident, and they know who they are. They know what they're capable of. Like you can tell fire signs that they aren't a certain way and they'll prove you wrong just because you said that they aren't. Like that's just fire energy. And the fact that right now you're feeling really like low, like you're just feeling your energy is just not where it should be. It's all over the place. It's that messy fire energy that people always say we are when we know we aren't. And then I also have Chariot reversed. It's like you're stuck. You're feeling really stagnant. I think you're really frustrated. I think you're looking around at everything this week and you're just like, wow, is this my life? Like it's just kind of like you're not happy, you're not satisfied. And that's probably why you're spending all of your freaking money right now when you shouldn't be. I'm mostly just calling myself out. You need to really work through these deep-seated fears and anxieties that are popping up, and I think it's heavily because of the Mercury retrograde, especially in fall in Pisces, because that's a very uncomfortable placement for Mercury. Mercury is very methodical and rational, and Pisces wants to escape reality. Being combated with your subconscious is really popping up right now, and I think that's why you're going through this need to really escape or hide or feel trapped. And I think right now, like the huge message of this is you're trapping yourself. Like no one's stopping you. You're stopping yourself. No one's out to get you right now. This is the vibe. Like, and I know that that's just like fire mentality. Like fire mentality is just fight or flight. When you get worried or when you don't feel 100 with yourself, it's easy to just assume that everyone's about to attack you or something's about to go wrong, because there's like this constant need to live in this state of like chaos, but sometimes you're creating your own chaos, and that's what you're doing right now. Like you're literally starting issues or problems when there aren't any. I think I think all of these things that you thought that you handled or that you thought you're fine with came up and it exploded inside of you. And that's so weird, but instead of you dealing with these things, I think you're just like drowning in your emotions. And that's why you're kind of going through this like need to be erratic. But I think you need to obviously heal, but you need to really this spread wants me to tell you everything is okay. Everything is not out to get you. Everything is not as bad as you're feeling internally right now. But, maybe don't blow all of your money or chase after adrenaline or drink a whole bottle of wine in one sitting. Because you don't know how to work with your emotions. This is really important that you sit through these emotions, and you don't have to drown in them, but do something that's therapeutic for you. Be gentle with yourself this week. Okay, so good news for water signs is that it looks like with these tarot cards, this is not a negative week for you up ahead. This seems to be like a very happy or easygoing week for the most part. You have things like the Empress, Two of Cups. So you're really feeling yourself right now. There's a lot of emotionally flowing and connecting relationships in your life. Like I think you're on the same page with people. You're really connecting with people. And I think that this is something that maybe, you know what, this actually makes sense though, because Mercury retrograde in Pisces, like everyone's drowning in water emotions right now, and you're thriving because everyone else is dealing with what you deal with on a daily basis. So this actually makes sense. You're really connecting with people, and you're really able to help people, and people are like opening up and being vulnerable, and you're seeing a different side of them right now. But I think you're also feeling like you're able to get closer with them and maybe even open up yourself. And Ace of Wands, there's a lot of abundance, there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of like change for growth right now. Maybe there's a new relationship taking place for you this week. Maybe there's a new friend that you're deciding to go hang out with for the first time, and maybe it's going to become a very meaningful relationship to you. This is a very intense week for like emotional connecting. This could take you to like really healthy or new opportunities with family or friendships, or, you know, an emphasis around people mostly, but also with yourself. Like, again, the Empress, you're thriving, you're living your best life, and like, good for you. Like, you're having a good week. But the Judgment card does come into place, and this is kind of letting me know like there's an absolution for something. Something is going to have a closing, as all these things are beginning to open up for you, because that's like how life works, you know, like one door closes, another door opens. And this is kind of letting you know like there's something that's being finalized this week for you. There's something that's really like ending or closing for you. And this doesn't have to be like devastating, it doesn't have to be like dramatic, but at the same time, I think it's because there's a lot of better and new things coming in and taking place. And I think this is like, it's not necessarily like a sad feeling, but it's kind of somber. Like, you know that you're closing like a certain chapter of your life or a certain area that you maybe have cherished or like really held on to for a while. Like, you're starting to really just accept that things are different now. And I think like it's kind of like a peaceful sadness, if that makes sense. Like, again, I don't think you're gonna be devastated, but I think it's just kind of like, oh man, yeah, like, you know, I think you're picking up the pieces and you're moving forward and you're making all these connections, and there's all of these great experiences taking place. But this is a very objective card, so it's not saying that everything's going to be like the best week ever. I think you're definitely going to be met with some things that make you, I don't want to say hold you accountable, but hold everything accountable in a sense. I think that this is like a week where something really shifts. I don't want to be too dramatic, but I just feel like maybe it's like a week where a new beginning or like a new chapter in your life that's like kind of a turning point for you takes place. Judgment to me is very oh my god, this motorcycle. I get it. The Judgment card is very similar to the Justice card to me, because it's kind of about, you know, letting things that were in the dark come to light. And so I think that's why this could be like an intense feeling, but I think it's mostly a positive change, or mostly like a positive movement taking place in your life. So again, it's not going to be like, I don't know, it's just kind of like you're going to be hit with some harsh truths, but you're going to be like very boss about it and like take it in a very like with stride way. And I think there could be some things that usually I think usually you would feel like really like sad or in your feelings or devastated about these changes. But right now you're kind of being objective. You're taking a step outside of yourself and you're really just taking it in stride. And this is like a part of, you know, the process with growth. And I think this is a very cool thing for you, because it's also very maybe unlike how you would typically handle situations. But I think this is also really bringing a lot of, the less dramatic you are this week, I think the easier it's going to be on you. Yeah, overall that was my upcoming week readings. Make sure to comment below and turn your notification bell all the way on, because algorithm. And I will see you next week for the upcoming week's tarot reading. Comment below and tell me what you think about this. If you liked this, how you thought about last week's tarot readings. And yeah, look at this rock though, it's so pretty. I love it.